It's Wednesday, my dudes, and welcome back to Clues by Sam. We have a tricky one today and a dog playing with a squeaky toy in the background, so if you hear that, know that that's it. If you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game where you have 20 people who may be criminals or innocents, and they give you clues to help you figure out what each of them are. You gotta do no guessing, and the game increases in difficulty along the week. So if you want to try it before watching, you can check the link in the description. I don't see the first clue, but I'm gonna start now. Well, first of all, we have Rob telling us that there are exactly 3 innocent sleuths. How many sleuths are there? 1, 2, and 3. All of them are innocent. That's not tricky at all so far. Now, Isaac tells us that exactly 1 innocent to the left of Helen is neighboring Alex. Helen is here, Alex is in the first row, and he has 2 neighbors that are to the left of Helen. So one of them has to be an innocent and the other one has to be a criminal. Now, Vince tells us that there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Joyce in row 2. Joyce, who is in row 3, has 3 neighbors in row 2. And we know that there's 1 innocent among Emily and Freya. And if there has to be an odd number of innocents among the 3 of them, then Gus cannot be an innocent. Otherwise, they would be in 2 innocents, and that's an even number. So Gus is for sure a criminal. And I guess we don't need Vance's clue anymore. And now Will tells us that Nancy has more innocent neighbors than Helen. Vance? Nancy. Nancy has more innocent neighbors than Hallie. Where's Nancy? Here? That's hard. Helen has 4 neighbors left for us to figure out. Nancy has 2. So far, Nancy has 3 neighbors. 3 innocent neighbors. So we know that Helen could have 4. If all of Nancy's neighbors are innocent. Oh, we haven't read Gus's clue. There's an odd number of innocents in row 2. So we know that Helen is also a criminal. Because there's 1 innocent here. If Helen were to be another one, we would have 2 innocents in row 2, and that's an even number. So Helen is a criminal. And I guess we don't need Gus's clue anymore. Now, Helen tells us that exactly two of Joyce's 5 innocent neighbors also neighbor Rob. So now we know that Joyce has 5 innocent neighbors. We know about 3 of them already. Isaac, Rob, and someone else here. Rob is one of her neighbors, and he shares 2 innocent neighbors with her, which is the only neighbors they share. So both Katie and Olaf have to be innocent, but that also tells us that Nancy is a criminal. Because now Joyce has 5 innocent neighbors. 1, 2, 3, 4, and someone from here. So Nancy is a criminal as well. And we don't need Helen's clue anymore. Now Katie tells us there's an odd number of criminals on the edges. Okay, we're gonna leave that for later. Olaf tells us that Isaac has exactly 2 innocent neighbors. Where's Isaac? Here. And Isaac has Olaf as one of his innocent neighbors, and he's gonna have another one who's gonna be either Emily or Freya. So we know that Joyce is a criminal. And we don't need Olaf's clue anymore. Now Nancy tells us there's an odd number of innocents above Zara. So it's either 3 or 1. And Joyce tells us that Vance and Alex have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Vance has 2 innocent neighbors. Alex has 1 so far, who's going to be either Emily or Freya. So Betty, who is his left neighbor who's left, is going to be an innocent as well. Total 2. Whose clue was that? Joyce's. Now Betty tells us that Helen and Will have an equal number of innocent neighbors. And we knew something about Nancy. Nancy has more innocent neighbors than Helen, and Nancy has 4 innocent neighbors total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Helen can only have 3 at most. And so far she has Katie. So she has to have at least 1 more criminal neighbor. And what else? She also has an equal number of innocent neighbors as well. Will has 3. And since Helen can't have 4 because of Nancy, Will can't have 4 either. So Xavier is a criminal. And now we know that Helen has 3 innocent neighbors. And Xavier tells us that all innocents in row 1 are connected, so we know that if Clyde and Diane are both innocents, Helen's total of innocent neighbors is complete. But if Mary were to be an innocent, then the only other person who could be one would be Clyde, because innocents in row 1 have to be connected. So Clyde has to be an innocent. What else? We don't know about this. I guess one of these guys is going to be an innocent and the other one a criminal. And that tells us that since in column D, is it column D? Above Zara, there's an odd number of... Where's that clue? Where's that clue? There's an odd number of innocents above Zara. And we know there's going to be 1 here, because Helen only has 3 innocent neighbors. The other one's going to be a criminal. If Sam were to be an innocent as well, we would have 2, which is an even number, so Sam is for sure a criminal. And Sam tells us there's only 1 innocent in column D, so Zara is also a criminal. Good. And now we know that, let's look back at an odd number of criminals on the edges. Phone's ringing with spam. Odd number of criminals on the edges. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got a total 7, and that tells me that either Emily or Alex are a criminal. And we have no way of marking that, while also keeping Emily and Freya's tags. I'm gonna have to be right back. Where were we? I'm gonna go back through the clues because Helen and Will have an equal number of innocent neighbors. We don't need that anymore. but I'm gonna leave it there. Exactly one innocent to the left of Helen. Yeah, okay. There's an odd number of criminals on the edges. We figured that out here. It's an odd number of innocents above zero. It's only one innocent in column D. All innocents in row 1 are connected. We don't need that. Nancy has more innocent neighbors than Helen. We don't need that either. There's an odd number of innocents neighboring Betty. Have I read that before? Where's Betty? So there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Betty. Yeah, we know that because of the total, right? So that doesn't help me. Innocence. 1. 2. 3. So Alex has to be an innocent. And Emily has to be a criminal. To total the criminals on the edges, and Freya has to be an innocent. So Freya tells us that there are more innocents than criminals in row 3. Row 3. So row 3 already has 2 innocents. If Mary were to be a criminal, then they will be in the same number, both innocents and criminals. So we know that Mary has to be an innocent to be more than criminals, and then Diane is a criminal. Good, that wasn't tricky at all. Less than 13 minutes, even though I left and came back. Well, that was nice. A good one. I love the tricky ones. I love the harder ones. I want to do more of those. That's why I said that I want to get the pack. But yeah, that will be it for today. I will be back again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam. If you want to check other videos of mine of Clues by Sam, I do this every day. I have a whole playlist on my channel. I also play some other games sometimes, so if you want to check it out. Yesterday I posted a recording of a live stream where I played Pixtorio. That is a puzzle platformer. It's a very cute game. And if you play the game, let me know what you thought, how you did. I would love to know that. And I'll see you tomorrow.